Myself Dr. S.N. Shrangare, Assistant Professor, School of Chemical Sciences, Punyashlok Ahilyadevi Holkar, Solapur University, Solapur. So, in this section, we are going to deal one of the topic called as material balance from industrial management and material balance topic. So, in this topic, we are going to learn what are the different ways by means of which we could be able to learn the chemical reactions. Okay, most of the chemical reactions that are undergone in laboratory, those chemical reaction may have to be performed in industrially in large scale. So, these chemical reactions or these processes involve a lot of chemicals, and we need to calculate the stoichiometry or the amount of chemicals that enters into the reactor or enters into any of the unit operation to perform any kind of unit process. So, it is necessary that we have to balance what are the different types of chemical that comes in what stoichiometry it should have to enter into the reactor, that we have to calculate. Okay, and you all know that that a chemical reaction, any chemical reaction happen to produce a product. So, once a product is formed, okay, product is formed, that whatever the product it is formed, at the end of the process, we need to know that whatever the input of chemical that has been given into the reactor, the output of the product should have to balance. That means, at the end of the process, it should be input is equals to output, that is chemicals. Okay, we are talking about chemicals. Input of a chemical should have to be equal to output of a chemical. So, that need to be balanced. If that is not balanced, it means that some amount of chemical might have been lost. Where it has been lost, that also have to be understood. At the same time, we need to maintain that the input of a reaction, input should have to be equal to output. So, various factors that could be there. For example, in a product there may be some co-product also there. So, product along with the co-product could be the output. So, ultimately I must say that at the end of the process, the input should have to be equal to output. This is what we are going to calculate industrially whenever a process is to be carried out in a topic called as material balance. Okay, before learning material balance, before calculating the chemical or their stoichiometry in the process, we should know certain basic. Okay, what is that basic? You know, there is a conservation of mass. As already I have mentioned that input of a chemical should have to be equal to output of a chemical. Okay, reactant as well as product, that is input or output we can say. So, conservation of mass, it means that mass cannot be created or mass cannot be destroyed. That is what that law is there, conservation of mass. Mass cannot be created, mass can neither be created or nor it can be destroyed. So, that is the specific thing, or that is the thing that we have to conserve. That means, input of a chemical, whatever the input of a chemical is there, the output should have to be balanced with the input. So, when it is balanced, then we would say that definitely it is the mass which has been conserved at the end of the process. So, material balance calculation is based on the law, what we call this as a conservation of mass. And as already I have stated, to learn material balance, we need to know certain basic aspects. So, what are those basic aspects? One of that is the process. Okay, any of the process, that means a series of operations that we perform industrially or in the laboratory, where a chemical happen to undergo certain physical or chemical changes. Okay, chemical changes. So, any of the chemical which is about to undergo a physical or chemical changes might have been under what we call this as a process. Okay, so whatever the process that we are about to perform within certain laboratory or industry, that means your working table where you are going to perform certain chemical reaction, that we would call this as a system. Okay, so process can be done in a system. Okay, system is what we know, it is a arbitrary portion of a process. Okay, it is the arbitrary portion of the process, or the process might be continued in a system. Okay, system, and the system is that portion, or it is a portion where the practical is going on. Okay, I must say here in a what we say easiest language. Okay, so system is a arbitrary portion of a process. Okay. Similarly, as already you know that the system is having systematic boundary, imaginary boundary, all those things that you know. Also, we have to know about that there are two different types of systems. One is the closed system and another is the open system. So, in a closed system, you know that the material cannot enter or cannot leave the system. Okay, so such systems are called as closed system, and those systems where the material are allowed to enter into the system, at the same time the material are in a position that they can leave out of the system, they can exit the system. So we call such systems as open system. Okay, wherein we can say that the reactant, okay, reactant and the product are continuously let in and allowed to go out. Okay, so such systems are called as open system, and these are the thermodynamic systems, closed system and open system, that we are going to relate this thermodynamic system in our calculations. Okay, as we know that we have to perform calculations on chemicals which are run industrially in batch processes, continuous processes, semi batch processes, and how these semi batch processes, continuous processes are correlated with our thermodynamic system, that we are going to show some relation in between these different processes with that of the systems, thermodynamic systems. Okay, so chemical processes, as chemical processes we learned that there are various types of chemical processes like batch process, continuous process and semi batch process. So we know that what is this batch process. In the batch process, what we actually do, suppose any kind of reactor is there or any kind of unit operation you take into consideration. So in the unit operation or in the reactor, we are allowed to enter, chemicals are being allowed to enter into it. Once it has been entered into the what we say a system, then a certain process goes on it, certain chemical reaction takes place between the various constituent or various ingredient or various chemicals that has been added into the system. Once the process or chemical reaction is completed, and then what we do, at once we take it out all the product or all the product from the process, or what we say through the system. So in this way, what we call this would be a one kind of a process which is to be called as a batch process. Why batch process? Because we are allowing the process, we are allowing the chemical to enter into it for the first time. Okay, and we are not letting any other chemical to be added further into the system. Instead of that, once we have added, for the one time when we have added a chemicals into the system or in a process, then it remains in the system for a certain period of time until a chemical reaction takes place. And once the chemical reaction is completed, we take out all the chemical product at once from the system. Such systems we call this as a such processes we call this as a batch process. Okay, so in the batch process, we would say that whatever the input is there, there should have to be the same output. But this again we need to calculate, because you know that chemical process never need to be giving all of the reactant to be converted into product. There might be a chance a side product may be for the side product may form. At the same time, there is a possibility certain of the chemical reactant may not react together. So at the end of the process, all the reactant, all the product, all the co-product should have to balance to what the input of the reaction was there. So that need to be balanced in the what we call the material balance. Okay, so the first one we have learned batch process. The second one is the semi batch process. So in the semi batch process, what we do, we allow the feed material to enter into the system. Okay, and this feed material may remain in a system constantly, but at the same time we allow another feed material to enter into the system continuously, okay, continuously. So meanwhile, the feed material which was already present in the system react with the feed material flowing into it, and thereby a product may be formed, and this product is continuously discharged from the system or discharged from the process. Okay. So we call such systems or such processes as semi-batch process. Why semi-batch process? Because we are allowing one of the reactant to remain in a system and another reactant is allowed to flow in continuously. Okay. So simultaneously we are performing two things. One is fixed in the system, another is allowed to move through the system. Okay. So this allowed to move into the system, that means the two reactants are continuously reacting, and thereby a product might be formed, the product may be formed, this product formed may be corrected continuously. So we would say that semi-batch. Why? Because one of the constituent is kept constant in the system or in the process, and another is allowed to move, and that's why we are saying that both the reactant in a system are not kept constant or are not allowed to remain in the process, but one of the reactant is allowed to remain in the process and another is allowed to move into the through the process. That's why we are calling this process as a semi-batch process. Otherwise, in a batch process, we have initially entered or allowed to enter all of the chemical reactant in a batch, okay, in a system or in a reactor, whatever it may be, okay, and then a certain time has been elapsed, all that chemical reaction or processes might have taken place, and after that we are removing all of the chemical product that is been formed. So there is this difference in between a semi-batch process and batch process. So to identify separately the continuous process, what we can say that in a continuous process, both the reactants or many of the reactants that may be entering into the system may be continuously enter into the system. At the same time, these reactant react together in a process, and there is a formation of product, and this product is also continuously removed from the system. That means reactant enter as well as the product removes. We call such systems as a continuous system, in which what we are doing, we are allowing the reactant to enter, reaction takes place, and at the same time we are removing constantly, continuously the product from the system, and that's why we say that this is a type of continuous system in which there is a continuous flow of reactant as well as product from the system. Okay. So we call this as a continuous process. Okay. And similarly, all these processes, whatever the processes till now we have discussed, a batch process, semi-batch process or continuous process, these three different processes can be a steady state process or unsteady state process. Okay. So we can call these three different processes, batch process, continuous process as well as semi-batch processes, can follow the steady state process, or they can be a unsteady state processes or steady state processes. Okay. How they can be? You know, in a steady state process, okay, in a steady state process, or which one of the process, that is batch, continuous and semi-batch process, can be considered as a steady state process. Okay. Why this is called as a steady state process? Because we have here given a what we say a option to call any of the process, that is batch or continuous process or semi-batch process, as steady state or unsteady state process. That means we have to classify these different three processes in between steady state process and unsteady state process. So steady state process is that process in which all the thermodynamic parameters such as temperature, pressure, composition or flow rate remains constant. Okay, remains constant and until the process is over. That means there is a until there is accumulation of product, accumulation of certain chemical constituent takes place, this thermodynamic parameter remains constant. All this thermodynamic parameter remains constant during the process. We call such processes as steady state process. Okay, steady state process. Thermodynamic parameters remain constant continuously in a process all these thermodynamic parameter. Which are those? Temperature, pressure, composition, flow rate. As you know that chemical processes actually may be carried under certain temperature. When temperature increases or decreases, pressure may change or decrease. At the same time, composition may change or decrease. So all these thermodynamic parameter, whenever they remain constant during the process, we call the process is under steady state. Okay, we say that the process is under steady state, and the best example of steady state process is a continuous process. Okay, continuous process, or in an open system where the reactant enter, product exit. It means that all the until and unless all the thermodynamic parameter are constant, it is not possible to take out all the product from the system. And that is why we can say that in a continuous process, the thermodynamic parameter, that is temperature, pressure, whatever it may be, okay, all those parameters remain constant, and we would say that continuous process is the best example of steady state process. What happens in unsteady state process? In the unsteady state process, all those parameter not remains constant. That means all thermodynamic parameter, temperature, pressure and other composition, like all those parameter do not remain constant. Okay. So any process in which any of the thermodynamic parameter do not remain constant, we call this as a unsteady state process. So here we can say that batch process is the best example of unsteady state process. Okay. So there are few remarks and whatever that we have learned till now, a summary of all that has been given here.